Precise location sharing off. I want it on. Okay, it's on now. Where is the option where I can start this? It seems to have disappeared. Oh, live. Okay, great. Okay, I'll be with everyone in 1 minute. Okay, so welcome to March 17th, 2016, Roundtable 5, Brighten Business for Springtime, the original 21st Century Vision Roundtable meetup. Broadcasting independently from a small meeting room at the Science, Industry, and Business branch of the New York Public Library on Madison Avenue, New York City. So thanks for dropping in to our meetup, 45 minutes once a month to talk about business relevancies. And I'm your host, Loretta Jones, CEO of New York Gold Tours. And these 21st Century Vision social media events accommodate 9 business leaders who RSVP on meetup.com to share local to global here from New York. Come to one or come to all. You don't have to. Definitions are first spelled out before we begin, and then I'll read talking points written into 3-minute segments, then invite experts or anyone at all to join either in person or online. Use video of the roundtable that I'll post later after we have this meetup to structure talks in your own organization. Okay, and then free on Periscope, Skype, YouTube, Google+, Facebook, and on Pinterest. So you can always find us there and find our next roundtable. And so how is everyone doing? Myself, I've had a very hard time, so forgive that I'm starting late. It's usually for 5:15, and so, but I'm so glad that we have this forum that we can try to start a local to global discussion. Okay, so I guess I'll get started, but feel free to jump in at any time and offer your take on anything. I would have edited everything that I was going to discuss tonight, but into a very structured, need a non-political political broadcast. But tonight, please accommodate a pretty opinionated roundtable. It's not going to usually be the flow of what I would like to present as a business forum that we would usually be delving into opinion and political issues. But I feel it's important because I remember that the last election that we had, and everyone knows we're in an election season here in America, and not the last election season, but when we had things with that we realized at different times. I guess it's really throughout history, and we realized that we were asking ourselves, do the elections even matter? Like, it seems like a lot of our things that we feel like we're voting on don't really get tackled during administrations. So instead of trying to urge something to happen in the vote, I think maybe we should stick to the issues that come up along the time that the people are in office. So it's, I think, a good lesson for us to remember. what happened in some previous locations so that we can prepare ourselves for springtime. Because right now, I think the best thing for most of us in business is to get real, because we're doing a lot of our best work and we expect that things are going to be reflecting that progress and everything else. And I think we have every right to hold our government accountable to those same good standards that I know business community has. And so I'm hoping that everyone agrees with that thus far. And I'm going to structure this roundtable so that I'm ready for feedback at any time. Usually I read the structure that I feel are good talking points, and then we start. So I just wanted to see if anyone wants to offer anything. Since I didn't get to edit, and I'm about to read something that might anyway, but so just please be with me. But anyway, bear with me, because it's not usually I would not try to be a political proponent, but I think it's important right now, so that we at least go into the vote in full aware of what we've had in the past, and not like we have forgotten that, that the important thing, and that's that everyone seemed unified when we saw the result of a certain administration, and let's just say war again. And no, I don't mean the current one, but anyway, so when that one was leaving office, and everybody had seen the result of the results, and so everybody was very united. And I remember not just business community, the academia, media, everyone was scratching their heads and saying, what has happened here? Like, where are our ethics? Like, this is not what we wanted America image to be all around the world. And not only were we feeling like, how do we fix this, but we were looking at, everything. And I think everyone was at a point that they were getting very real, and somehow it's gotten away from us. And so I just feel like, let's remember some certain things, and that's probably a best way to go into springtime. So while this is not the same structure that I usually use and the one I want to use forward, please feel free to join in at any time, okay? So I'm going to find where I wrote my definitions. I usually print it out, but I'm going to, okay. So the definitions are very short this time. So I have, so for this roundtable, the point of this discussion is seasons will be defined by, what they are. 4 different weather climates per year, defined by winter, spring, summer, and fall. And then light, and that's defined by whatever springtime means to anyone, and that's up to the individual. And so if it means to lighten up for spring, we have all of that. Like, we can follow the lead of nature, or our own nature, and we can just choose to do that and stay grounded, if we like, in the reality. And so that's what a lot of this roundtable is going to be, sort of a reality check. But I don't mean to offend anyone, and I hope I don't. Okay, so anyway, leap year, and that is almost as if the government, like in different places, did that so that it's just up to us how we want to look at that. But it was, from what I understand, researching it, and it wasn't a big research, but it was just looking it up, that they decided during the Gregorian times that the king was going to say that because the earth rotates in 365 days plus 6 hours, they were going to split that 6-hour excess up by the every 4-year period, not by any other measure. So I wasn't questioning that. I was just thinking, well, what would that tell us if we were told that we had an extra 2 seconds a day, because that's what it breaks down to mathematically, so that it's like 2 seconds longer each day. So we're actually living on a planet that our 24-hour day is 24 hours and 2 minutes, according to whoever determined that it takes the time that it takes to orbit and then to, each day on its own axis. Okay, so anyway, so I just thought, well, that's a great thing for visuals, because that's what my company, New York Gold Tours, is all about, is visuals, and what can you do with using the power of visuals. And it's great for vision strategy. And so while a lot of businesses think of mission statement, we don't always think of vision strategy. But anyway, it is a thing of today, and most of us are on it already. But it's good to take it further, to always challenge that. So I thought, well, I'm going to try to remember for springtime and going forward that there's like 2 extra minutes in every day, and I want to honor it. So even if it just means look to the left, look to the right, almost like a military, like when you're walking along your way and you just make routines and stuff. So I'm just going to, and just once a day, just that. And then I'm going to see, like, what did I see that I wouldn't have taken the time to notice before? Like a good reality check. Not that we need it. We have enough in this world. But anyway, I thought that might be a good thing to go into the spring 2016 sort of, just prepared with. Okay, so does anyone want to share what their business does with vision strategy, or what you think about vision strategy, or what you think about taking 2 minutes to look, just see something that you might not have seen, just in your own walk, in your own way, or whatever? All right, well, welcome, and feel free to join in at any time. I'm so glad to see people joining. Okay, so in this roundtable, we'll have numbers in place of or in conjunction with quotes. And actually, I didn't look up any quotes, but maybe I can take some time to do that, or somebody can look up a quote on the topic of maybe anything that they want to relate to business relevancy and keeping it real in 2016 springtime. Okay, so what I had written in the place of where I usually do the work of editing is that I was planning to do it, and then I knew I might not get to it because I've been going through a lot lately, and my business has been having to be put on the back burner, but it's still here and we're still going. So anyway, just gathering my thoughts for the roundtable and structuring, of course, to have to edit down and nicen it as emailed, because I email to myself, to my own documents, and I document my stuff that way, because I've seen that the powers that be have a lot of permissions, and so, but it's not that we shouldn't trust them. I'm just saying in my life, it has worked for me to document by sending an email or whatever, but I just do that. So that it was my plan for this week, and I never got to edit or make this nicer. So anyhow, so my first talking point facts are, how do we really see 2016 in the world timeline calendar, and how should we? Okay, and I just talked a little bit about that, and I guess I'll just get into reading what I had written. But so vision strategy, like fresh air, can breeze in lightly with familiar cheer. So what did last election tell us? Okay, not the last one that went right over our heads, is of course, and not to disrespect Obama, because I know there's probably no harder time in history to be president of the United States. But we know, all we have to remember is WAR, what? Like, what healthcare? But what about anyway, but all right, so, but it is all important, and turns out that seems to be where the war is going on. So anyway, but okay, so Obama has another term, and we're certainly not ready to go back to another Republican. Well, I shouldn't say that, because I don't want to disrespect Republicans, but they have to admit that the last time that they had 2 years, we were all, and they were like, well, how did we get to a point where we have our military? Like, I already wrote about it, and I was ashamed writing about it, and I thought, I am definitely going to edit this, but I didn't have a chance. I've been through, they have been really, well, I'm under harassment, so anyway, but that's my own problem. So anyhow, but, okay, So we're certainly not, well, I can't really say that, but we know that he didn't close Guantanamo or Gitmo, and there was a third one, which I don't remember the name, but I think Gitmo is the same as Guantanamo, but I'm not sure, and that could be all different permissions than Guantanamo. So anyway, but and we remember plucking toes and everything that was going on there, electrodes, anyhow, but and we don't want him ousted, of course not. And we, the American people, now in another election season, are ready for 2016. We always are ready for the future, and we're in it. But like when we do look at election, we don't even have to leave work early. Like they have the election polling places open late and everything. So we're really not. I mean, I remember. Well, anyway, but we do treat it like it's nothing special, and so that is the reality, and we should always firstly honor the reality of of the actions that we do, because while we're maybe quick to judge, military and things like that, I always try to stay grounded in the fact that it's as old as the hills that we have some good and some bad in society. So just, and God made it, or whoever, whoever you want to believe, was the supreme creator of human beings, of the planet, of life as we know it, gave us certain dictates. And most of those are like common sense. We don't need any special, anything to know what they are. Even if we just look down on our feet, not left and right, but we look down and up and we know what we need to do. It's like your feet, you need to use them. We have to figure out what we want to work at and work at it, right? And then we look up and we're like, look at the beauty, like the sky, and all of it never fails to astound, I believe. And I hope everyone feels that way. And if you want to join in, I would love to hear, at any time. Interrupt me, please. But anyway, so anyhow, but the thing I was starting to say is that I not just value the fact that I want to stay respectful to everything that is in existence. I try to make that like just a point of my work and of anything I do. So while I'm saying these things, I also hold with a lot of regard all the structures that are in place, and I have faith in everything in the world that is in place. Everything here is a product of all of us. So most of this is about reflection too, but not that I've ever done anything that like the things, and I do not support the things that have happened in the name of my country, and some of them, a lot of the things, but I do support my country, and I love the premise of my country, and so that I should have titled this whole roundtable U.S. Constitution, like what the U.S. Constitution, from what I've seen, is very simple, and it just honors those divine laws and rights that we are individuals, but we're trying to make a better world, and so I think that's what we need to all try to do as in business. And my roundtable is usually about business, but I saw how businesses were just because we fail to reflect regularly. That's a way of the world too. We go forward and we're not conditioned to going back, and who wants to? But to look around and really get real is important. And so when we saw what we saw coming back in the media of these places created in our name, like Guantanamo and stuff like that, and we were embarrassed as a country, we had to realize like that is not, that's not just what they're doing. That's a product of everything here. So I'm going to read further, but feel free to join in. Okay, and don't worry. There's no. Well, I shouldn't say don't worry. The people I'm being harassed with won't they won't harass. But that's what we all have to realize, that it's all about just living honestly, and when you do that, you can just live bravely, and not that anybody needs my encouragement. Everybody says their own thing, but I'm just saying I've had to announce on my website, on my business, that I am under harassment, an official harassment, and that they need to know that if they want to do business with me, and they can decide from there. And so it's the same with the Roundtable, actually. So in honor of the Constitution of the United States of America and my New York City, where I'm broadcasting from, and New York State, please be aware, that I am under harassment. I'm fine. I handle it, and it's okay. It's as old as the hills that we have, good and bad in the world. And so when we have powers on us, which is always the case, that's, the law enforcers. And there's always going to be some people who suffer both ends of that. And not both ends, but that can suffer from that. So because there's good and there's bad. And then there's it seemed like my screen here was just cut off, but I don't know, because I don't have a counter with Periscope if it's recording or not. So I'm assuming that it's recording still, but it just flashed. It had just flashed before, like a minute ago. But anyway, so I'll proceed. But and that's it. Okay. And no, so I hope and pray that nobody is harassed because of joining in my roundtable. But I wouldn't expect that they would be. And if we are, like, we stand up to bullies here, we're resilient. They say that about kids and adults. More so. We just get better and better. Anyhow, so all right. So 2016 vision. Oh, I already read that part. Okay, so. So we, the American people, now in another election season, are ready for 2016, like I said, and keeping it real, probably good. So before President George W. Bush, and I'm not sure, was that the son of, is somebody trying to say, I'm not sure how the chat works. But if you want to chat and I don't answer you, just say it again, like try again, because I see some things. Welcome, but I've never had live chat actually taking place. So if I don't know how to work it, just clue me in. Okay, so was that the son? I'm not sure which one it was, but the one that was following the one that was vice president to Ronald Reagan. So I'm talking about the latter President Bush that we had. Okay, so but we all were convinced that it didn't make a difference who was in office, right? Before he came in, we were kind of like thinking our vote didn't really matter. But I remember still making my dutiful pilgrimage, to my former elementary school to cast my vote when I was first out of my neighborhood and working out on my own, feeling patriotic, going back there to make my voice heard. And but even though I had already been of the school that it really doesn't make that much of a difference. But I remembered my mother coming from work, and she was she was struggling, as far as trying to provide for her family and everything, just like I've done and a lot of women have done. And she always made that effort to go and vote, no matter what. So I did feel like it was patriotic, but not so much from everything that I was getting the message of in society, but mostly from what I saw my mother doing. So I figured she must know how it used to be, and it used to be worse than it was before people were voting. I don't know, not that she's that old, but I just felt like I needed to honor it out of the tradition of that. Okay, so anyway, does anyone know, like, I wonder how the younger generation feels. Is that Generation X? Like, anyone representing Generation X out there? I don't know the generation names. I haven't kept up. But I think it's Generation Y and Generation X. I'm not sure. But I don't know what the vote means to you today. But it would be a nice addition to the roundtable if you want to give your opinion. Or if you're from the baby boomer generation, I would love to hear what the vote means to any of you also. Anybody. Okay, so anytime feel free to add. And And then I remember when ultimately in front of the TV and watching the build up on of the votes pouring in, as they say. I got sucked into rooting for my guy, and no, I'm old. Like Hillary wasn't running yet, and not that she's a guy, but she's gonna have to buck up and act like one, and that is going to be hard because she has quite a reputation already to live down. And I'm a woman, and I would love to be in a position where I can just say, woman running for office, president coming. But I've already seen that she seems to be very much a proponent of war, and I don't think that's ever been a solution, and I don't believe that violence is ever going to be a solution. Violence, goriness, and it seems like they sell us that on every channel, on everything, every movie. It's always like worked in so that we're all fine with it, and I don't believe that's a good way. But anyway, but that's my own personal opinion, and usually I would not offer that in a roundtable. I'm trying to stay just non-opinion, but I feel like it's important this time. So I don't know, but okay. But when she was, I felt like that, like I just took the bottom line of all of the scandal and that is not the one. Not with the war or anything. I'm not saying that, but I mean the thing that when her husband was in office, and usually like a woman, like I just know, I haven't been married, but I know what they used to act like if you think of terms of like a trophy wife, and but like it was kind of like women were supposed to be like if a man was president, would be the ultimate, like it was almost like like that's the highest, like not the highest of any of our industries and stuff, but anyway, like I'm just thinking of roles of the term of the like in terms of role, like what would it be if she, like, I know if she had been doing that, like what the intern during the President Clinton, Bill Clinton's, her husband, Hillary Clinton, our candidate, our Democratic candidate, and she came along representing me because I was already of the Democratic Party, and so we all need to realize that too. Like these people that come and we're presented as if these are the people that are going to be running for office in the various parties, but they fail to broadcast it the way that it is also because they are the ones that are coming along saying that we've chosen to represent you, the Democratic Party, or you, the Republican Party. So we need to take that personally for a minute, I think, because like I said, we personally make a difference when we stand up to things like that's not the image that we wanted to project of America, and we can make a difference when we do that. And I know that we made a difference, at least in my life, when everybody was saying, what has happened here? That's not the image we wanted to present. These things that are happening over in Iraq, or where is that, Cuba, and all these places, or even in our home, on our own street, on our own blocks. And so I just feel like that's valuable. I was benefited a lot from that because I was very encouraged, enriched, and all of that. I was like bettered just by seeing that happening. And so I feel like keeping that going in spring is going to be so enriching for all of our anything, whether it's business or class we choose to study in school or whatever, Okay, so in terms of role, it seems like my video keeps flashing, so I hope not. But that it's not cutting off. But if we're all still here, we'll continue. But in terms of role, I had been wondering, like, so with like, what would it have been if Hillary had been doing, outside of office, even outside of, what if she had been doing what her husband was doing in office? Like, usually it's like a woman, like you wouldn't think of like doing anything that would make your guy look bad out there, whatever his job is. Like we wouldn't, and like that's just not. But that's not the point, because it's not like we're here to be there. Of course, their trophy wife or anything. But I was just thinking in terms of like, how are we ready to accept this when we're a country that was sold, things like the beavers and all of that. And I know we're way past that. I know. And we're almost at the point where it's like, what is marriage if it's not a chance to bring another person into the mix? Like, I don't know where the country's heading with that right now. And I don't know what the latest thing is, but it used to be a lot of them weren't working out and everything, 50% rate of divorce. But when Hillary said she was sticking with her guy, like, I just couldn't get over the fact that is a guy that was doing, he had, I mean, I have to say women, because I can't act like that's not a thing. Nobody gets like that on a 3 o'clock, yada, yada, yada year at a certain time appointment to have like this one-time thing. I have to think that's a thing. But so if it's a thing, like how did we get from where we were to where that our president was having women come into the Oval Office and give him head under the desk? Like, I'll just say it. I wrote it in here as fellatio because I'm trying to be, I was trying to be, remind myself, edit this, edit it, and get it to where it will be not offensive to anyone, but because I don't want to offend anyone. But he offended us. I have to take the time to say that. The media never held him to it. Nobody held him to it. They acted like they impeached him. But all they showed us is the president of our country saying, and he's someone who said he wanted to come along and represent the Democratic Party. And I thought he was great. And I thought, I wanted to be supporting of Hillary, like of a woman and everything. And I keep trying. But I just feel like she's like that was a chance to make a real statement, I would think, about women's strength. And if you can't stand up for your husband's behavior that he's not standing up for, I feel like, how are you going to stand up for someone like me that you probably don't relate to at all? Because the bottom line is, what did Clinton do? All I've heard, I've not followed any of these people. I have no idea of their records, their anything. But according to what they said, at some point in March, it was February 2016. I think it was on channel ABC. But I don't tune in that much. But I remember them saying something about the whole thing that they're trying to overturn about why we had the mass incarceration against young black men, or any black man. But the mass incarceration that occurred was because of a law that dictated an automatic 10-year, and don't forget, we have automatic technology now. That is a term that I think is going to be important in the future. But he did an automatic, he created a law that required automatic 10 years in prison for people found with drugs. And that was what caused that 10-year incarceration, according to what I had heard here and heard there, which was either on the news or in the New York Times. And so they had said that that he had done that, and they did that during this election season, and it was just like a little quib announcement. But I feel like that how did that go by us? Because he has been a big I'm part of the Black community, and he's been a big part of, and I feel like that's why my mother was all about Hillary Clinton. She was like, vote for Hillary when she was first running, and she took time out of it. She felt very proud about doing it, and it was nice to see that she was able to express that, and hopefully make a difference in the world. Because that, anytime you say, like you want to make a political statement, I think it does make a difference. So we take the time out to do that if we want to, and I'm doing it now. And if anyone wants to join in, please do. But I remember her doing that, and then and I wasn't involved. I did a quick statement on one of the Democratic boards where we could, like, for the Democratic candidate, and we could write in, on their website, we could enter a website chat. And so I did my opinion on there, and I had been saying some of my beliefs about, like, that I couldn't embrace, like, I wanted to support a woman, but I could not embrace that, and so I was going with Edwards. And then the same thing happened with Edwards, a scandal about how he treated his wife or something like that. I don't remember that one completely. I think I just I was like, oh, too much. So anyway, but I was wondering how we would feel if Hillary had been doing that at home. Like, she's not president of the country or anything, and if she's doing that at home, like, then she wants to, and then he's in office, how would that have reflected on our president when he was in office? Like, I just feel like that's important for us to get real about, because President Clinton did that in office, almost as if he was telling us something. And then what is he telling us if not that he does not value women? Because that was an intern. We have to acknowledge that was an intern. And she was young, that's early 20s, and that's a president with the weight of authority. So you have to add at least 15 years onto that. And that's an imbalance of power. That's an exploitation. And I wouldn't, it makes me think of the thing in the law that says that if a husband or a wife is accused of a crime, which to me, that's a crime. I mean, that's just like if they're saying a person is drunk, and that's rape, if no matter what, if they have sex when a person's drunk, they have to say on the same thing about the authority, because they just, like, that has to be a place where you just can't go. It's almost like children. Like, you are in a position of authority, you just can't go there. Like, it's just something you can't do. And if the president can't say it, then what's happening in other places? Not that our corporations are irresponsible or anything. I know that's not anything I've ever suffered in the workplace. But I think the politicians are a lot different. I'm not sure if they're people that are already selected to be propped up, like maybe in college or something, or if they are really just like us and saying, I want to be representing you in the Democratic Party, like everyone who's subscribed to the Democratic Party, because they make us reveal that before we vote. We don't have to, because it's not the law, I guess, because it's not a requirement, but they ask you to report, to register, to report if you're a Democrat or Republican, but you always have the right to change your vote at any time. But they ask us to do that, or independent and all of those. I know the new generation is oftentimes saying that they're going to, that might be a party that gets established like this time or whatever. I don't know much about that. I feel like, but anyway, so I know about the things being sort of open to us, but they also act like it's a requirement. So I wonder if anyone has any knowledge of that. Like, are we required to reveal if we're Democrat? And of course not to anyone personally, but I wonder if it's to anyone. Let me see if I have it. Okay, I'll be right. Thank you. All right, I got here very late, and I did not respect the time at all. I was trying to respect the issues because I had not edited. Okay, so I think I've covered everything that you're going to want to hear. I will put the transcript as I have it on my website, on NewYorkUltras.com, and like I said, and it's going to be tweeted, and it's on all those social media things that I've already listed at the opening. Okay, so I'm sorry that it wasn't a regular structure, but I think with the election coming up, I think it was good and timely. Okay, so I hope that I hope that I'm glad you joined in, and if you have anything you'd like to offer on the subject, I'm going to put a form, like a chat thing, available on my website under the roundtables part where I always do. Okay, so enjoy and good luck, and hopefully you find a way to honor springtime in your own way. Okay, best.